Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. My name is Aana-Ther. Today we're going to figure out my January TBR. I decided to do a little bit of a game for this. I created this board. I think I'm going to be putting it here. I don't know. It'll go somewhere. I created this little board in Canva. It is inspired by Snakes and Ladders, but instead of snakes, there are ink spills, and instead of ladders, there are book stacks. So it kind of works similarly, but I did make some adjustments to the rules just because I'm using this for a TBR game, and I needed the I needed the game to be fair. And I'm telling you guys, when I was testing out my board, my first version, I just kept slipping. But anyway, let's just get right into it. Let's start with the rules. So there are ink squares, and with ink squares, if I land on one of them, I have to go down to the square that's listed on the ink. If there's no number there, then I don't slip down. But every ink square, I have to pull a challenge prompt. The challenge prompts are books that are still books that I want to read. They're not necessarily bad prompts. They're just like books that are a little bit more challenging, or maybe books that I have been kind of avoiding, even though I know that I want to read them, I'm still kind of hesitant about, or just like books that intimidate me, stuff like that. And the negative prompts can also just add a stipulation, or they can cause other negative effects. For the book stacks, it is similar where we have numbers on the book stacks, and if I land on one of those squares, I go up to the number listed. I pull a reward prompt. So these are books that I'm like really dying to read. Like they're at the top of the list, you know? They can add a stipulation, you know, the way that prompts usually do, or they can remove a negative effect from a challenge prompt. Then I also have book buying squares. So with these squares, the idea is the first one that I land on, if I land on any of them, that is how many books I'm allowed to buy that month. If I land on another book buy square, it no longer counts. So the most I could buy in a month from those squares is 4 books. And I also added a little bit of an extra rule for myself with buying books, that I can only buy books that I'm planning on reading that month. So I can't buy books that I'm going to plan on reading someday, but like I don't know when. The idea with that is just to keep my physical TBR low or at the same point, like not let it expand too much or beyond what it's already at. I have a lot of books on my physical TBR. And actually that's another rule for this entire challenge, is that if a prompt applies to a book that I have on my physical shelf, I have to choose that book before I can choose something that I don't already own. And then I have squares where there's like an open book, and those squares are considered like wild cards. So they allow me to choose any book of my choosing, or I can use it to skip a book that I've already added to the TBR. And then the last square that really matters is the 100 square. So if you've ever played Snakes and Ladders, I mean, fact check me on this, I don't know if this is accurate, but I think the rule is that you win if you land on the 100 square. If I land on a 95 and I roll a 5, that is exactly 100. Only then am I allowed to add one more book to my book buys that month. So in total, the most amount of books I can buy in a month is 5. That probably sounds like a lot of books already. 5 books in 1 month is a lot. The odds of me getting the 4 is 1 in 6. And I usually buy books used or secondhand, and that kind of keeps my costs down when it comes to buying books. It could also happen that I get 0 book buys that month, or I get 1 or 2. And it is still lower or less than the amount of books I was buying before this. I'm a little bit embarrassed to say, but if you've seen my book haul, then you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to use just a regular 6-sided dice for this. And yeah, I mean, those are the rules. I don't think I missed anything. There are definitely things that I missed with this game. Like, I haven't fully tested it out, I haven't fleshed it out and stuff, so we will make up those rules as we go. I most likely will create like some kind of graphic that we can use to track the movements on the board. I'm very new to like creating videos and stuff like that. We will see if I can actually manage to get that done. All right, let's play this game. So I have my dice here, and I have my prompts. So those are the reward prompts. And I also have like the challenge ones. These aren't really like punishment necessarily. It's just meant to like challenge me with my reading this month. So let's do this.
I rolled a 5 and landed on a wild card. I don't have any prompts yet, so I'm going to save it for later. Rolled another 5 and landed on a blank, so nothing happens. I rolled a 4, that takes me to 15, and it's a book stack, so I go up to 29.
it says. Let me see if I can actually open it on screen. A series you really want to start / continue. Okay, interesting. So far it's been pretty tame. We're already up to like 32.
Rolled a 5 and landed on another book stack, so we're going up to 60.
We got another book stack, and I'm also not putting the prompts back in because I want there to be some variety. Okay, I have to choose from my TBR spreadsheet, which is what I did for my December TBR.
I rolled a 4 and we landed on our first ink spill, so I'll have to go down and draw a challenge prompt.
Right, and then the next thing we have is the ink spill, but we're gonna skip this one, so I'm not actually gonna read this. But we will pull it just to see what I saved myself from. A book I own because of hype. That's not that bad. Damn it. But we did get another ink spill after that. And it's going to be a book that's set in space. Great. That's the one I probably would have wanted to skip.
Another ink spill, but there's no number this time, so we're not going down anywhere, just drawing a challenge prompt.
So that one is gonna be recommended by someone whose taste you don't trust. I can't believe we dropped all the way from like 64. The next one was a book stack. Remove one bad prompt. Oh, okay. I'm removing the space one. Yeah, I'm not doing that one.
We landed on a book buy square, so that means that I can buy one book this month. So any book buy squares after this point will no longer count, unless I manage to land on the 100 square.
So, let's see. A book in series you don't feel like continuing. I'm really bad at aligning this to the camera. I wrote this prompt with a specific book in mind.
Oh, damn it, I could have bought 4 books this month.
See, I'm a little surprised at how much fun I'm having with this. Finish a series. Oh, so that means that depending on which series I choose, it could be like 2 books, it could be 3 books. It like depends on the series and how many books there are in that series.
Oh shit, I landed on the 100 square, so that means that I can buy up to 2 books this month.
So I've had some time to ruminate and figure out what I want to read this month. So the first one was a series that I really want to start or continue, and for that I chose Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn, the Mistborn saga. I am so excited to read this. You have no idea. And it was actually really hard to choose the book for this prompt because I have a lot of series that I own physically that I haven't read that I want to get started with, and it was really hard choosing between them, but I settled on Mistborn. I feel like, I mean, all of these series their books are massive and like really dense. I just have this feeling that this one is the one where I will feel it the least. But yeah, we will see. I'm really excited because it's like a female protagonist and she's supposed to be really badass. Yeah, so I'm really excited to get to this book. The next prompt was a book chosen from my TBR spreadsheet. It's a spreadsheet I have of all of the physical books that I own that are on my bookshelves. Basically what I do is I use a random number generator to generate a number and choose the row in the table that corresponds with that number. So it's kind of like a randomly drawn book. I'm not going to show the filming of that part. You're just going to have to trust me that I'm not lying about it because it's just like extra editing and extra filming and I kind of don't want to do it for one book. But just Trust me. 48. All right, so I got The Last Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine. That is a book that I do have on my shelf. Let me see. Where is it? Damn it. Where is it? I cannot find the book right now, but it is on my shelf somewhere. I will find it, but it is, I'll have a picture of it somewhere. I'm excited to read that book. I'm not like super excited about it, but who knows, maybe it will surprise me. The next prompt that I got that wasn't skipped, because I did skip two, a book that's recommended by someone whose taste you don't trust. Someone did come to mind when I read that prompt. And so I proceeded to like look at their taste in books, and I realized that a lot of the books that they said were their favorites were actually books that I really wanted to read. I mean, I'm not watching people whose taste I don't trust, you know? Then I just thought maybe I could read a book that is like super hyped, like on Book Talk. But that was also kind of problematic because a lot of those books were books that, for whatever reason, I just don't want to read. One of them, for example, was what's it called? What is it called? A Fourth Wing. I read the first book. I did not like it, and I decided I was not going to continue the series. But I know that the third book came out recently, and it was like really hyped up. And I thought maybe I could read the second book in the series, but I don't want to. I really don't want to. Then there was also the Powerless trilogy, which is another series that I just have no interest in continuing. I read the first book. I did not like it. Did not want to continue it. And yeah, so it just seems a little silly to read a book that I don't want to read just because of this challenge. So I did manage to find a book that has been hyped a lot, that is in the list of this person whose taste I supposedly don't trust. It's Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. It is a book that I really want to read, and it's actually on my 26 for 2026. So I don't know if this fits the prompt. I might take this prompt out because I feel like I'm not following or paying attention to people whose taste in books I don't trust. I'm going to use that for this prompt this time around, and then I'm probably going to pull that prompt out of the prompt jar. The next prompt was a book in a series you don't feel like continuing, which sounds exactly like what I was just talking about with a book that is recommended by someone whose taste you don't trust. For this prompt, I had a specific book in mind when I wrote this prompt, because I had bought the whole series and then read the first book, didn't like it, and then I was like, what do I do now? I could get rid of the whole series, but I also have heard from some people that the second book in the series is better than the first. So I'm willing to give it another shot. It is the Caraval series, so I have the second book here. It's just Legendary by Stephanie Garber. The first book in the series was just not for me. I mean, I think there was a lot of holes in the plot, and they weren't things that I could overlook. So I don't know. But I did buy the series, and now I have to read it. I mean, I don't have to read it, but I feel like I should at least try, right? Anyway, so this is gonna fit for that prompt. And I mean, at least it should be a somewhat easy read. And it's a beautiful cover, so that makes me feel better. Does it make me feel better? Not really. Then the next prompt was finish a series. A lot of these prompts are related to series, I'm realizing. But yeah, I chose Vengeful, which is the second book in the Villain series by V. Schwab. Finishing a series is interesting. It's an interesting prompt because depending on what series you choose and where you are in that series, you could end up reading 2 or 3 books for just that prompt. And I was not about to do that. So I chose Vengeful by V. Schwab. I read the first book a couple of years ago, and then I reread it in the beginning of the year with the intention of reading this book after so that I could remember everything. And then I did not read this book after, but I do remember most of what I read from the first book. So I can finish the duology finally. And I loved the first book. And then had to go get the book because it's not on my desk. I'm looking at myself again. The next book that I am going to read in the month of January, it's not part of this game. It is a buddy read, and it's also a book that I did not expect to have a physical copy of. It's a gift that my husband gave to me for Christmas, and it is Catabasis by R.F. Kuang, and it is very heavy. And it is the Sprayed Edges edition, special edition hardcover. I mean, I don't know if it's a special edition actually, but it is Sprayed Edges. It is a beautiful book. After I got it, I told my best friend that we can read it. We should read it now, and so we are going to buddy read it. And this is probably going to be the first book that I read in January, and I'm really, really excited about it. I am a big R.F. Kuang fan. I loved Poppy War. I loved Babel. Well, or I liked Babel. I loved Poppy War, though. And yeah, I'm just really excited to get into this. Is that everything? I think that's everything. Should we take a picture? I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.